Oh, excuse me. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, hang on one sec. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, everybody in between and beyond. My name's Jordy Coleman. You can call me Ginger Wolf. And welcome to another episode of Let's Laugh. Today's comedian, excuse me, whew. Today's comedian is Sandra Bernhard. Actually, it was funny when she came up. I was actually like, I recognize her face, but I don't recognize her. Like, it was one of those situations where it's like, I recognize this person. I do, but I don't know from where. And then I took a quick look at her filmograph and television appearances, and yeah, she's definitely been in a couple things. She's definitely been in a couple things. She's a comedian that's actually been around for quite some time. And again, we're taking this from Wikipedia, so who knows how accurate it is. But at least according to this, she is still active and she is still doing her thing, so fantastic. Now, with that all being said, I do have a little tiny bit of housekeeping I want to take care of because today is actually a birthday of a friend of mine. So happy birthday, Drew. And also a happy early birthday to another friend of mine, Dylan, whose birthday is actually on 420. Take that for what you think, because you will probably be right. Now, with all that being said, let's get into our comedian of the hour. So, she's born out of Flint, Michigan, which is already kind of a funny aspect because Flint, Michigan, for me, always seems to be that it's the town you tell people where you're from when you don't want to tell people where you're from. And she is referred to as a conservative Jew. I'm not sure exactly what they mean by that. I can click on it, but we don't need to get into that. She has three brothers, Dan, David, and Mark. Which, if her name started with a D, I'd be wondering if her parents were too busy having sex to turn over the page in the big book of baby names. But that's my own thing. She became a staple at the Comedy Store, which, for anybody who's not familiar with what the Comedy Store is, it is essentially the biggest and at this point the most famous comedy club throughout the entirety of the world. It's actually owned by the Shore family, i.e., the parents of Pauly Shore. If you guys remember Pauly Shore, who is he himself is still around. I'm not sure actually who is in control of the Comedy Store at this point because Mitzi Shore, the person who had been running it for years, I believe has retired or possibly passed away. So, not entirely sure exactly who's running it at this point. Um, as her popularity grew, she was cast as a supporting player on the Richard Pryor Show in 1977. Now, I wonder with that, excuse me, I do wonder with that um, if she was kind of cast for a similar reason as Jim Carrey was cast in Living Color. Because the simple fact of the matter is, like, I've never seen any of Sandra's stand up for full disclosure. I'm more aware of her as an actress than as a comedian, which is very telling because she's now the second female comedian we've seen on the show. And it seems like female comedians have a tendency to gravitate more towards acting than towards stand up comedy. And I'm not trying to point fingers. I'm not trying to, start anything controversial, but it kind of makes me wonder if that's telling that female stand-up comedians don't get paid as much as male stand-up comedians, I don't know, but it wouldn't be surprised. But at the same time, I kind of would be surprised because in the world of comedy, for the most part, because there's shitty people in all groups, it doesn't matter what group you're talking about, but for the most part, at least for me, I can talk for myself. I can't really speak for others, but I usually this is kind of the thing that I usually see is that most people don't really give a shit what your gender is, what your sexuality is, what any of that is. When it comes to comedy, other comedians just want you to be funny. That's really all it is. That is the number one, and for me, the pretty much the only thing. Do you belong amongst comedians? Are you funny? Yes or no answer. That's as deep as it goes for me. If you're a good person, I'll hang out with you and have a few drinks and, chat with you and stuff like that. If you're not, well, find another group to hang out with because I'm not hanging out with you. But again, like I say, I really wouldn't. I would be, but I wouldn't be surprised either way. Anyway, continuing on. She began performing her one-woman show, I'm Your Woman, in 1985. She's not that old. And an album version was released, which actually that sounds kind of interesting. I love old like 80s stand-up comedy, just because it 80s and 90s now because it's such a snapshot of what comedy was, and because there's so few women in stand-up comedy, this is one that I would really love to find. Maybe I'll find it. Maybe I'll feature it on a future thing. Uh, so I actually kind of want to get into because if you're sitting there thinking, there's a bunch of stuff that I can talk about, and this is actually kind of interesting things, and I will read this little part here. But I do find a very interesting thing is that if you think she kind of looks somewhat familiar, I think you'll recognize some of the stuff that she's been in because holy shit, does she have quite a portfolio of film and television appearances. But that being said, in 1991, Bernhard played Nancy Bartlett in the sitcom Roseanne. She appeared in 33 episodes between 1991 and 1997 and was one of the first actresses to portray an openly bisexual, reoccurring character on American television. In September of 1992, Bernhard did a nude pictorial for Playboy. She hosted the USA Network Real World Cinema for 2 seasons beginning in 1995. She continued acting in mostly independent film, TV guest roles, and foray into mainstream films such as Hudson Hawk and Dallas Dolls. I've never heard of Hudson Hawk. I am slightly familiar with Dallas Dolls. I've at least heard the name. I have no idea what it's about. And released her first studio album, Excess for Bad Behavior Part 1. Now, that is an interesting thing because she herself actually identifies as bisexual. Um, a little bit of a thing that I found out before the live stream is the fact that although it was never considered, and it's actually right here, it was she was at least good friends and rumored lover to Madonna on the 1988 episode Late Night with David Letterman. I am so sorry. I am so coffee today. So that's very interesting, especially again being the 80s. It was far less okay, and I put that into I know you guys can't see me putting that into quotes, but it was far less okay for somebody to be bisexual or gay or something like that. I mean, it's not exactly fine now for some people, but for most people, we're like, whatever, we don't really care. But here is her filmography, and this is just the films. This isn't TV shows and stuff like that. This is actual her stuff, and it's like Shogun Assassin, which I have no idea. I guess that's just a voiceover in the English dub. Cheech and Chong Nice Dream, which think is I think that was about the downfall of, or what most people consider the downfall of the Cheech and Chong movies, but I'm not 100% sure. I primarily just remember the first two, so. Um, but it's interesting that she went from that and then was on Sesame Street. And then Whoopee Boys, Casual Sex, Track 28-9, Heavy Petting, which again, it kind of goes back into, and Madonna Truth are there. Uh, so, and it's funny that some of the, oh yeah, she was in Pulp Fiction too. I forgot about that. Yeah. For anyways, so Pulp Fiction actually has a little bit of a, what's the word I'm looking for? A sentimental place in my heart, because that's actually one of the first kind of more mature related movies that I watched with my nephew, so that kind of has a very special place in my heart there. Just some highlights. Oh, she was in Zoolander. That's interesting. Uh, that's, at least for me, most of the big highlights. And now here's the television stuff. The Richard Pryor Show, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, Pee-wee's Playhouse, which, little bit of a note on Pee-wee's Playhouse. Even though Pee-wee's Playhouse was was a children's show, when it was originally pitched and designed and everything like that, it was not meant to be a kids show. It was basically supposed to be adults making fun of a kids show. And you can actually, and maybe at some point I'll even show some of this on a Let's Laugh. But yeah, watch some of the old live shows of what Pee-wee's was. It was not meant for kids. There is literally an episode where his friend comes over, and then his friend's sister comes over, and all of a sudden he just looks and he's like, "Quick, go get the mirror shoes." I'm not gonna say what the mirror shoes were for, but I think you guys are smart enough. You could probably put it together yourselves. But yeah, that was kind of a weird thing. But then of course Corporation comes, and corporations don't get shit like that. They don't get the concept of parody. Look at how many people passed up on Weird Al Yankovic and stuff like that. So corporations just don't get parody. But of course, they came along and said, "Oh, we want to pick this kids show up," and it's like, "Yeah, totally, a kids show, sure." But oh, she was in the original Freaky Friday. I think that's the original one. Maybe there's an older one. Space Ghost Coast to Coast, which is an interesting show in and of itself. For anybody who's not familiar, it was literally an animated talk show. Super weird, but a lot of big names at the time were on the show. The Highlander series, that's kind of a weird one. Kind of random. Superman the Animated Series. Okay, yeah, I recognize her. Ally McBeal, Spider-Man. She definitely gravitated towards some more superhero and animated stuff for a period of time. Hercules. Unfortunately, no click to see. Sandra Bernhard, I'm Still Here, Damn It, which is actually the special we're going to be watching today. I was just double checking and making sure I didn't have my mic muted, because that would have been very awkward. She was in an episode of Law and Order, Special Victims Unit, Girlfriends, The L Word, Queer Edge, Roseanne's Nuts, which, yeah, I'm assuming it was kind of a comedy special put together by like Roseanne and stuff like that. She was on Family Guy as herself, which I think I kind of vaguely remember that. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Two Broke Girls, American Horror Story NYC, and then Short Subjects, which I'm not sure, and then she has gotten herself a handful of awards, including GLAAD. That would actually be, for me, I think this would be the most important award out of the ones here. Although a Golden Raspberry Award would kind of be really interesting to get. For anybody who, she didn't win that one, but for anybody who doesn't know what the Golden Raspberry Award, it's usually for bad acting and stuff like that. Going back to Weird Al Yankovic, Weird Al actually made history being the first person nominated and winning the award to actually show up and accept the reward himself. Most people played it off as a joke and stuff like that. He took it seriously, and that was for the TV show, or the movie UHF, which has since become a huge cult following, where a lot of people still want a sequel. Anyway, back to Sandra Bernhard. So yeah, like, I actually, this is not something I say very often because usually I kind of, go through at least a handful of the highlights and stuff like that. Just based off of her Wikipedia page, she's a pretty interesting person. I'm not going to lie. And if you guys have a minute, absolutely check out her Wikipedia page. Literally just Google search Wikipedia is usually the first thing will pop up for people. With that being said, we're going to play this. Now, I'm actually going to keep it in this windowed form just because I want to see if YouTube ends up deciding it doesn't like it, but possibly with having a bit of a border and stuff like that, YouTube might be cool with it. So we'll see what happens. Still kind of experimenting with stuff like that, but from that being said, thank you all so much for watching. Now let's sit back for the next 55 minutes or so and check out Sandra Bernhard. I'm Still Here. Damn it.
Please welcome Sandra Bernhard.
Beautiful. That's the way we like it. Thank you so much. Mitchie Kaplan on keyboards. We've been together since '85. The delicious Denise Frazier. She came shortly afterwards. She's going to get into a very high place right now. Oh, honey, you don't know who's been in these clubs before you. I'm telling you, if we have to go deep into a Native American moment, we will. If I have to sweat the shit out in the lodges, I'm not afraid. Honey, I think I refreshed my psyche a little too intensely there for a minute. Woo! honey, child. Sagey moments. Well, you know, we've been through a lot the past few months. We've lost a lot of wonderful people. It's taken its toll on us. I know sometimes you don't even realize it, but when John Denver died, it took me right back to high school, to my down vest and my hiking boots and my commitment to the Sierra Club. Now, Rocky Mountain High was my theme song. It was fucked when he died. We lost Princess Diana, but you know, we're all responsible for that individually. We really are. We heaped so much on her fragile little shoulders that she broke like a sparrow. You know, we bought into the illusion of the beautiful young girl marrying the prince, living happily ever after. But you know what? She wasn't happy. She was scared, she was alone, she was frightened. She found a glimmer of happiness at the end, and it was snuffed out like that. Think about that each and every day of your lives. There was so much I wanted to say about the princess, but when I saw Steven Seagal speak so eloquently on CNN, I said, what do you have to contribute to this moment? It was such a rare and unique opportunity for so many stars and celebrities to express the repressed grief they'd felt over things we can't even begin to imagine. When Tom Cruise described how many times he had driven through that tunnel, it gave me the chills. I said, it's the edgy shit that needs to go into your work, baby. Nothing affected me more, though, than the untimely death of Gianni Versace. You know, it was so random and so violent. It really was. And for me, it's changed the face of the modeling world forever. I run into the girls in the streets of Manhattan. Their eyes are hollow, listless. They're non-communicative. I go up, talk to me, baby. Please, open up. You're going to fade away. Naomi Campbell is a shadow of a human being. When asked to describe her deep feelings about the death of Gianni, she said, it's been a terrible thing for me. Elton and Sting are collaborating on a tribute song to Gianni that Naomi will be performing. Oh no, Naomi's a very accomplished singer. She had an album out a few years ago called Baby Woman. That was a big hit in Japan. All the proceeds to the song will be donated to fashion victims around the world. Naomi has asked me to preview it here in my own show. I find it quite touching. I think you'll agree. Gianni was the golden boy of fashion. He kept me in cash and other fabulous things. Gianni Versace. If I could only bring him back, I'd trade in my unspoken vows an unused wedding rings. Linda, Christie, Helena too. Gianni's gone, but we must go on the runway. Donatella's alone on the runway. Will she still throw me a bone on the runway? Darling, can I borrow your cellular phone on the runway? Gianni and I were such good friends. I couldn't dream of a more glamorous end. I'll still walk for you on the runway. Baby, do you have a good view on the runway? I hope we can design something new on the like a pose on the runway. Look at this beautiful retable I've set for you. You see, this is the direction I want to head in my own life. Serenity, nature, beauty, peacefulness, really. I just don't want to get all caught up in the technological era. I really don't. I don't want to be dragged down the information superhighway. I don't need all that information coming into my head. It's too much for me. I'd rather take those little back roads and byways and write a nice postcard to you. I really would. Because, you know, you can't get the kids out of the bedrooms anymore. You really can't. Honey, do you want to go with me and Daddy for a little dinner? No, that's okay, Mom. I just got on the internet. I just made a new friend. She's pretty, and she likes me, too. Now, phones were invented to bring us closer together. When I was a kid, the phone stayed in one place. It did not follow you around the house. I'm not ready for that trilogy of terror moment, okay? I'm really not. I want to know where my electronic appliances are at all times. And God forbid somebody should hang up on your ass. It's the end of the world. I'm going to star 69 the motherfucker. Yeah, what seems to be your problem? You just hung up on me. I'm so sorry, Missy. I just here making corn tortilla. I tried to reach Maria. I dialed wrong number. Forgive me. You just ripped some Mexican maid a new asshole. I hope you're proud of yourself. And as if that wasn't enough, now we have caller ID for the ultimate in passive-aggressive behavior. Don't pick up the phone. I want to see who it is. Oh, it's Joyce. Fuck her. I never want to speak to her again. You know, I always deeply admired Courtney Love. She's always been like a tear, a blur, a bruise. So tender, so fragile. A few years ago, I was performing up in Seattle, and I tracked her down through her personal assistant, and I said, you know, I'm performing tonight, and I would really be honored if Courtney could make it to the show. And he said, well, she's supposed to be back up from L.A. taking a flight this afternoon. I think she could be there. I said, that would be so cool. Well, that afternoon at soundcheck, he showed up and surprised me with Frances Bean and the nanny. Frances was a little cranky that afternoon. She's like, I don't like this music. It's too loud for me. I was like, for Christ's sake, your father was Kurt Cobain, your mother's Courtney Love. My music's too loud. Get the kid out of here. I don't need this shit. But that night on stage, I was so tapped into my source. I was channeling down things I never dreamt possible. And I swear that at least 4 or 5 times during the show, I felt Courtney reach out to me. We were so connected. Well, after the show, I just ran off stage. I didn't even change. I said to my manager, just bring her back. I can't wait to meet her. And he said, honey, she never made the flight. She wasn't here. I was like, oh. Well, the next night I was down in Portland and just had like a half hour to get ready for the show. And the phone rang. I picked it up. Hey, man, it's me. It's Courtney. What are you doing? I said, nothing. God, it's so great to hear from you. And she just started rambling on about everything, like feminism, Camille Paglia versus Naomi Wolf. She described the first time we'd met when I stepped over her in a snowbank on the Lower East Side. And I finally had to get into the shower with the phone. I was shampooing, shaving, douching, sweating. I was like, Courtney, I want to keep talking, honey, but I got to go do my show. She said, well, be back in your room by 11:15. I want to continue this conversation. Already controlling me. So I rushed and did the tightest, fastest 24-minute set I've ever done in my entire life. So I get back to my hotel room, and I just kind of unwound a little bit, and I put the phone right by my pillow, because you know a hotel phone is a fuck-over moment. You can never hear them ring. Just in case I fell asleep, right? So 11:18 rolls around, and Courtney has not called, so I'm feeling very insecure and shitty about myself. 1:30, 2:45, 3:58, 6:92. I finally throw back a couple of melatonin and talk myself down. It's okay, honey. Courtney loves you. She got sidetracked. Well, a few months later, I'm in New York, and Courtney's performing at Roseanne. So I get some tickets, and I put together a really cute outfit, right? Mini skirts are back in. So I'm wearing a wool mini, an Agnes B sweater, some tights, some flat boots. Youthful, fresh, fun. And I'm waiting by the side of the stage, and Courtney walks up and does this dramatic double take, grabs me by the hand and pulls me into the dressing room, and I sit down on the couch while Frances Bean is playing with dolls. And Courtney gets on her cellular phone and is trying to track down Trent Reznor of 9 Inch Nails, who's down in New Orleans staying under the pseudonym of Mr. Shit. Well, this goes on for 45 minutes. And I was thinking to myself, this is the most cutting-edge, rock and roll, funky thing I've ever experienced. And then we head to a party where there's a lot of paparazzi taking pictures of us, and Courtney tries to kiss me on the mouth, and I say, honey, not here. I feel too vulnerable. You know, maybe a little bit later at your hotel suite, but not now. And then the party kind of winds down, and we go down to the street, and there's some fans milling about. Hey, Sandra, it's really cool to meet. Fuck off, man! She doesn't need your shit! I felt like Winona Ryder. A woman stronger than me? Wow. Well, the next morning I got up really early and I wrote her this intense letter. Dearest Courtney, thank you so much for sharing a part of your life with me last night. You are so inspiring. You're such an incredible artist. You changed the way I look at the world. Please stay in my life forever and always be my friend. I love you, Sandra. Well, a year and a half goes by. And Courtney has gone full Hollywood. I mean, she's hanging out with Amanda de Cadenet, wearing vintage dresses and matching tiaras, and going to the Oscars, and just doing subtle changes, little things. And one day I'm driving home down La Brea after Shabbat, because I never miss Torah reading. And I'm on my way to see a really old friend of mine who's very sick. I never miss her on Saturdays. And I look over and there's somebody staring at me from the next car. It's Courtney. Hey, come on, man, let's go to Red and get a cappuccino. Okay, I'll go see my friend later. So she kisses Ed Norton goodbye and jumps out of her car and gets into mine. And we end up at Insomnia, where she pulls out a 20 and pays for our ice blendeds, which really touched me. And we sat and talked for a while. And I was just kind of like staring at her and thinking, God, you're so pretty. And at one point, I just felt overwhelmed, so I ran out to the curb and I threw up. And I started thinking to myself, you know, Courtney, you may live to be 100 and never have a wrinkle. But baby, what plastic surgeon is going to go in there and fix all the scars in your heart? This is all dedicated to the most beautiful women in Hollywood. To Goldie Hawn, to Farrah Fawcett, to Raquel Welch, who once had a rib surgically removed to give her a higher breast line. I understand that they barbecued that rib. It was quite meaty, tender, and delicious. And to the ultimate beautiful Hollywood woman, to Cher. Cher, we have looked everywhere, but we cannot find you there. If you dare, Cher, where? There. You know, so much in our culture pits women against each other. Sometimes it blows my mind. I think they just sit around these ad agencies thinking of the lowest common denominator to fuck with women. Okay, bring all the troops in. We've got 2 big new perfume campaigns to plan. Let's go. Bring in all my best minds. Sit down, kids. Okay. Now listen to the first pitch and start thinking. 2 friends, 2 women, best friends, vicious, backstabbing bitches. They secretly despise each other and covet whatever the other one has. Clothes, houses, boats, cars, each other's husbands. Okay, I need a very modern and a very fabulous name for a new perfume. Gucci, Envy, perfect. You stay, I love it. Here's the second woman. It's a little banal, but work with me. She's down on her luck. Her husband has walked out on her. She's depressed. She's on Prozac. She can't get it together. She's discovered a lump. Chaos, Donna Karen, bonus for you. I'm going to break into your house late one night. I'm going to sneak into your bedroom, cut your husband's throat ear to ear, make you watch him bleed to death. Then I'm going to flip you over, fuck you up the ass, make you suck my dick. CK1. Okay. It's about love. It's about letting go. It's about forgiving. I'm not saying yes. I'm not saying no. I can't tell you to stay or with all my heart. Please go. Our love has been a mystery in spite of its short history. With all of our confusion, I know it's not illusion. When you're lying in my arms and we dream before we sleep, I'm transfixed by your sweet charm. Maybe I've fallen in too deep. Will someone please wake me, take me back to where I was before? If you must go on and take me where there still remains that open door, can I just leave you standing here? I know you still want me to love you. Is there any way to relieve your fear? To the edge of the cliff, I'll be shoved too. I try to stay away, but your tender face does haunt me. I promise to be brave. Will my heart please not taunt me? Wherever you may wander in this pinprick of a world, never bleed your soul to waste, for you'll always be my girl. Thank you. I performed this all summer long at the Lilith Fair. Sarah McLaughlin called me early last spring. She said, Sandra, we're putting together somewhat of an experiment. It could fail. Will you be there for us? We need your light, your energy. I said, you better believe it, baby. The first night I arrived backstage, Sarah wrapped her arms around me and held me for an hour and a half. I said, honey, can you let me go? I can't breathe. And then Jewel kind of came up from behind and surprised me. I just don't know how much more of these little waifish alternative singers I can take. The Alanis Morissette, Fiona Apple-esque, I'm freaked out, I'm pissed off, I've been used, I'm fucked over, I don't know where I'm headed. Honey, try stepping out of that dirty bathtub for starters. And let's work our way forward, okay? Now, please, just give me an old-fashioned, sweaty, big-titty bitch of rock and roll, okay? Give me Joan Jett with a shag haircut and a black eye. Give me Pat Benatar. We do belong to the night. velvet, if you please. For Christ's sake, give me Ann and Nancy Wilson. I swear I was leaving my gym the other day and somebody was wearing an Ann Wilson on tour t-shirt. A full-size photo of herself on the front, an illustration of her eye on the back, obscured by a peacock feather. Now, when these women wrote a lyric and sang a song, you know they had lived it, okay? I saw him again today. I had to turn my heart away. No right, no wrong, selling a song, a name, whisper game. Now, if the real thing don't do the trick, yeah, you better think of something quick. You better burn, 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 burn it to the wick. Now, wouldn't you, Barracuda? He's a magic man. I'll go crazy on you. They wrote it, they sang it, they snorted it, they fucked it, they lived it, okay? These women created the road. There was no road before them. They did shit that would break these little bitches in half. And Mariah Carey and her crazy ass. Honey, if I see that one dive into one more swimming pool and one more video, and now trying to backtrack on our asses, getting real niggerish up there at the Royalton Hotel Suite with Puff Daddy and all the greasy chain-wearing black man. Oh, yeah, Daddy, it feels kind of good. I didn't know I'd be so into this moment. Oh, yo, I got a little bit of black in me, too. I didn't tell you that. Honey, she better watch herself. With that ex-husband, Tommy Mottola, she'll be getting no black dick. He'll be cutting the shit off. From the swimming pool, dive into the ocean and start swimming to the other side of the world. Butterfly. Oh, honey, I'll pull the wings off a butterfly. Give me a moth. Give me a cocoon. She's up in that tree with the torn slip. The horse is riding through, gonna save her ass. She cuts herself up on a barbed wire fence. Honey, get some help. We're concerned. And do not try to compete with the fierce ghetto divas, honey, because they will go down, in, around, and off on your ass. Mary J. Blige with her white Fendi sunglasses and her blonde extensions. Missy Elliott, Lil' Kim, and Vogue, Missing One Girl, Salt and Pepper, and Spinderella. Oh, no, honey, we left this behind long ago. You can hook up with me at the China Grill, sweetie. I'll be ordering myself up a big old duck salad. Call me up on my StarTac cellular phone. I'll give you the 411 and the 911. I'm on the cutting edge of fashion. I am fashion. I'm so hip, I'm beyond hip. So don't fuck with me, phony white bitch. Fly me to the races. I'll take you there. She didn't know what the lyric meant. She was having a pedicure in the studio while I was gonna pick that shit out of my big toe, honey. Fly me to the races. You cut me. Now, honey, Janet has gone into a deep moment. My hat is off to her. She is working through some major moments, sweetie. Major shit. I bought her CD a few weeks ago. I put it on. I was dusting, vacuuming, walking around my house. All of a sudden I hear, and your pussy's all going to swell up and explode. Did that come out of my speakers? Because I said some crazy shit, but Miss Jackson, if you're nasty, P.S. By the way, my favorite Spice Girl? The mother. Old Spice. You know, I stopped to have a sloppy Tom a few days ago. That's a barbecued turkey sandwich up at the Best Western Coffee Shop on Franklin and Vine. You know, the last cappuccino before the 101. Well, the hostess that seated Mitch and I looked really familiar, and I said, have we ever met before? And she kind of laughed in a husky English accent and threw back her blonde hair. Oh, you might remember me as the other girl in Fleetwood Mac. But I got so burned out on the road. Too many fags, too much blow, and then Mick and I split up. And I took a good look in the mirror and I said, darling, it might be time to be taking a little bit of a hiatus here. So I got myself a gig here at the coffee shop, and I love it. Why don't you and Mitchie take that corner booth, and we'll take your order in a minute, darling. You know, I sit here at the piano for hours in between seating people, and I've been writing some new songs. And the thing that I like best is the kids let me do the songs that I like. And Sandy, I'd like to sing this new song for you. Standing by a wishing well, I heard a nightingale telling of a love that waits for me. And as I turned away, she sang, won't you please stay? Open your eyes, you'll be amazed at what you'll see. Oh, won't you stay for another day? Another day, won't you stay? Oh, won't you stay for another day? Another day, won't you stay? Oh, I feel like I've been living out of an embroidered bag far too long. Hey, Sandy, did I ever tell you the time that Stevie almost put out my eye when one of the fringes from her shawl smacked me in the middle of a concert? I had to wear a patch on my eye for 6 months. But you know, I never resented Stevie. She was always such an angel, weaving her magic madly about on stage. Hey, save a piece of chocolate cake for Sandy. You know, darling, if the road ever gets to be too much for you, I can get you a gig here with me at the coffee shop. We could kick back and write some songs and reminisce about the old days. I wish you'd think about it, darling. I really do. I ran so far and fell from the heavens with a nightingale, afraid of a love that would never be. And as I turned to leave, she sang, won't you please believe? Open your heart and you'll set yourself free. Oh, won't you stay for another day? Another day, won't Yes, we were there at Madison Square Garden on Thanksgiving to see Fleetwood Mac, and Miss Nix was in rare form, casting spells, changing gypsy shawls, dancing from one end of the stage to the next in platform boots, singing alone with Lindsey Buckingham. The children getting older, and I'm getting older too. So? A phone conversation between Jackie and Marilyn. Hello? Hello? Who's this? Who's this? You know, I wasn't feeling well recently, so I called my Chinese herbalist, Dr. Zhu, to come examine me. He looked at my tongue, he felt my pulse points, he said, "You too hot! You got too much heat in body! Your feet are hot and dry!" The most romantic thing anybody's said to me in recent months? I really want to do heroin with you sometime. That is so sweet. Honey, my one big drug-related experience took place a few years back in Amsterdam with my then girlfriend, Sally. Now, Sally was a trip. She's a hairdresser, a little cold, a little distant, detached. She grew up in the Valley. We once drove past North Hollywood High. I said, "Hey, Sal, didn't you graduate from there?" She said, "No, I shined it on and went to Hawaii." So we're in Amsterdam, and I said, "Sally, you're not going to believe this, but I really feel like getting stoned." She said, "Cool." So we went to the Bulldog, and I ate half a hash cookie. It was no big deal. It tastes like an oatmeal raisin cookie. We wandered around the red light district. We went to a sex show. Sally was smoking pot, blowing it in my face. I was like, "Sally, I'm so bored, but I'm a little hungry. Let's go back to the Bulldog. I'm going to try another half a hash cookie." So I devoured the shit. Like, I. And then we went to the Milky Way and danced. We listened to some music. I started getting a little bit of a buzz. So we headed back to the hotel, and along the way, suddenly, everything became hysterically funny. We drove past Anne Frank's house. Anne Frank's house, that is a fucking scream! We got back to our faux American hotel, because you know the Dutch love anything kind of American. It was a hotel in the round with rust-colored carpet. So it took us a while to find the room. And when we got there, I ordered up everything on the menu. Cheese sandwiches, chocolate. I was ravenous, right? Then I decided to take a hot bath. Smart move. Honey, I have a picture of myself in that bath. It was not a pretty moment for Sandy. When Sally finally got me out, the shit hit me full tilt boogie. I was hallucinating out of my mind. I said, "Sally, I'm really sick. You gotta get me to a hospital. There's some cash on my passport over there on the counter. Even when I'm fucked up, I'm in total control, right?" So I managed to get myself dressed. Even Sally is nervous at this point. She helps me downstairs. She goes up to the concierge. "Can you please call an ambulance right away for my friend? She's sick. We've got to get her to a hospital." Did she eat a hash cookie? I'm sitting out on the curb in the meantime with my head in my hands. "You are so stupid. You are 29 years old. This is your Saturn return. Mom and Dad will never forgive you. They're going to have to ship you home in a box." So a taxi picked us up, and they were going like 20 miles an hour. I think they're going like 150. My heart is pounding out of my chest, and I'm like, I think I'm having a coronary. We get to the hospital. I'm clinging to the doctor. "Please promise me that I will be all right, that I will remember who I am. I am so scared." She gave me a big shot of Librium. I puked in a sink. And on a hard wooden bench, for the first time ever, Sally held me. So for those of you who think I'm going to be mainlining H with you anytime soon, you're out of your fucking mind. curiously strong and curiously long. I had that Altoid in my mouth for like 4 jokes and an entire monologue, and it's still there. How the hell do they stay in business? They've all come to see my shows. Carol Channing came to see me. It was such an honor because, you know, she was my original influence for being in this business. I saw her in Hello Dolly when I was a kid. Jeez, how old are you? It was 100 years ago. But she came backstage and she was rocking. She's just like fresh. She goes, "You are my spiritual granddaughter. By the way, can I bum a joint until I can go score some crack? I'm all fucked up." Carol, no wonder she's still doing the show. She's young, honey. She rocks. You are killing me, honey. I know you're not a drag queen, but you sure could be one. Oh, are you one? Baby, if you are, you turn the shit out. No, you can't be a drag queen because you'd be talking. Oh, wait. Put on a record, then he'll lip sync. Drag queens can't go anywhere without a boom box. You know they can't. Or a lunch pail. But you are divine, honey. You turned the shit out tonight. You're upstaging me with that red hair and those, ooh, honey, those big, fabulous, sexy arms. My trainer's here tonight, my trainer Carl, and I worked out today. But I can't compete, you know. A girl has to have a girl's arms. And a drag queen has to have a drag queen's arms. Although usually they are a little smaller. You're a big old drag queen, honey. You're an ass-kicking, I'll fuck you up drag queen. That's right, baby. No, I did a couple of episodes of Ally McBeal. She's a sweetheart. She's very talented. She works very hard. And, you know, they asked me to come on and play a lawyer, which I'd already done very unsuccessfully on Chicago Hope. So I was a little nervous. You know, Adam Arkin directed that episode of Chicago Hope that was on. I thought, you know what? For once, Sandra, be an actress and let somebody direct you. Just let it go. And I thought, yeah, that would be fun for me, you know? So I showed up on the set. You know, I use my hands a lot. I gesticulate. I need my hands. So Adam said, hold your hands down by your side. I was at first really excited. Really? Oh, that's cool. I like that. No, don't even lift your hand up at all. Okay. Now just kind of hold your head like that and never move it. Uh-huh. Really? Uh-huh. Okay. Well, what about when I walk? So needless to say, it wasn't one of my more animated performances. So I show up on the set of Ally McBeal, and, you know, and originally they wanted my character to go in a more gay direction. So I took David E. Kelly, the producer, aside. I said, David, can we talk in private? You know, I kind of already did this on Roseanne, and frankly, I'm not that thrilled about being gay in my own life. Can we try something different? Because it's not an Anne Heche moment for me. In a minute, I'm going to have my fabulous makeup artist rush up and give me a little moisture on my lip. Do you have any moisture on the lip moisture moment? Yeah, in a minute. No, right now, sweetie. You don't have it with you? It's like right over there. All right, baby, go get it. It's okay. I'll just keep talking, and we'll take another break. Ooh, child. It is like the fucking winds of the Sahara up my ass in this place. Oh. How pregnant am I? How pregnant are you? Just as pregnant as I want to be. At any given moment. Baby, this is Stephen Arturo. Thank you, honey.
Hey, how come you never show Howard Stern your titties?
What? Honey, he ate my pussy on camera. Where were you? Titties, big deal, titties. Anybody can show Howard his titties. Honey, he ate my pussy and I ate his asshole out at the same time, so, you know. It's fresh as a daisy. Look how fabulous Steven is. I asked for a little lip moisture. He brushes up my eyebrows. He powders me. Is he divine? Now, there's something you don't see on stage every night. Fuck titties. Fresh and moist. Now, as many of you know, I am studying Kabbalah, which is the spiritual essence and study of Judaism. And it's really given me a different look at my life. It's why we're here, how the universe was created, our tikkun, the corrections we need to make. And, you know, a lot of other people are studying as well. I don't take direct responsibility for that, of course. But, you know, Madonna is studying Kabbalah. Honey, if it's giving her wisdom and insight, Bli Ain Hara, Baruch Hashem. I would rather run into her at a Kabbalah event than in a disco in Miami. Now, we recently had a big party for our spiritual leader, Rabbi Berg, and Madonna brought her little girl, Lourdes Rachel. Cute little girl, smart as a whip, and not impressed with her mother, kept a healthy distance all night. She chose Madonna. Madonna did not choose this baby, believe me. If there's one thing I've learned from Kabbalah, you don't need to wish harm on anyone. What goes around comes around. Just sit back, make a big bowl of popcorn, and watch the movie. It's gonna be a hell of a ride. Me and the kid are gonna be like this. Oh, kids, you know, I took a trip to Morocco this year that rocked my world. You know, Morocco was a country that always cried out to me, come back to me, as if I'd been there in another lifetime. Oh, there's this Sumaya, who's from Morocco. Make her feel welcome. She's a visiting dignitary. Gorgeous Sumaya. She planned our trip to Morocco. By the way, just as an added bonus, she happens to be the premier comedian in Morocco. Honey, could I impose on you to tell that joke that just slays me? This joke, I'm telling you, honey, it's one of the funniest jokes in the universe. Thanks, sweetie.
أنا نقول لك شوي أنت تقلق لي أنا نقول لك شوي أنت تقلق لي عبد الرحمن لعب لك فيه.
It doesn't matter how many times I hear that joke, it kills me. When I first saw her do it at a club in Tangiers, they had to pick me up off the floor. She is the Phyllis Diller of Morocco, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, baby. She's a doll. She planned our trip. I was Mitchie, myself, another friend. Oh, honey, we hung out in the Medina, the funky, cold Medina. We drank the Moroccan whiskey. We bought the rugs, the lanterns, the tangines. We had a ball. But you know what really touched me more than anything to my trip to Morocco? It really took me by surprise. It was the calls to prayer every morning at 4 a.m., shattering the silence. I mean, I was always so frightened of the Muslim culture. I was scared of the angry men and the veiled women. And then I started thinking, you know, these people are going to give thanks 5 times a day for the simplest things in their lives, to detach from earthly desires. And I thought if we could all tap into that consciousness, what a beautiful world it would be. These haunting, beautiful, poetic calls to prayer. God is good. God is great. God is mighty, come to prayer. Oh,
God is mighty.
Allah, shattered at 4 a.m. People running across the stones to fall to their knees, to give thanks for the simplest things in their life, for the love of their child, for the taste of food, for the smell of the air, for the sound of the ocean rushing across the shore, to detach from earthly desires, these haunting, beautiful, poetic calls to prayer. God is good, God is great, God is mighty, come to prayer. Sumaya Akaboom. Shukran, shukran, inshallah, inshallah. Enchilada? Thank you. Yeah, people are such snobs. They automatically think I'm from New York. It's like, that's not true. I'm from Michigan and then Arizona. I moved to LA when I was very young to start my career. And they say, you just can't be creative in LA. I said, no, you can't be creative anywhere. You're just not creative. So cut the cliche LA bullshit, okay? Now, granted, LA can be a little lonely. It can be a little alienating, but you know what? It forces you to be resourceful. Now, I get into my gold 91 Acura Legend late at night. I don't need a new car to impress anybody. I armor all my tires. It's in mint condition. I drive over Laurel Canyon late at night. I put down my moonroof. I smell the eucalyptus. I can see the shadows from the mountains. I feel the ocean breezes. I race down Ventura Boulevard, run into my house. I sit behind my typewriter in my kitchen, and I pound the shit out. The pathos, the passion, the poetry, the drama. And then I go all over the country and share it with you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. You have walked the house. Thank you. We love you. this world than be without him in my world. His man and his alone. All aboard, all aboard, all aboard. It's a midnight train to ride. All aboard, all aboard, all aboard. It's a midnight train to ride. I got to go, I got to go, I got to go. Ooh, I got to go, I got to go, I got to go. My man, his world, my man, his girl. I got to go, I got to go, I got to go. Ooh, I got to go, I got to go, I got to go.
All right, and I am back. First thing I gotta say, holy shit, can she sing? Wow, that was actually incredibly impressive. How just that, like, just the power in her voice. Like, I gotta say this. The fact that everybody went fucking gaga for fucking Christina Aguilera and how powerful of a singer she was and everything like that. And nobody noticed this? Like, holy shit. Although I will say it wasn't so much a comedy special as it was a one-woman show, but that's fine. That is absolutely fine. Although something funny that happened while I was streaming and everything, I got him. So I have a work chat on my phone and it popped up. Somebody was late to work today. Which is basically an everyday occurrence at my work, so that's fun. But yeah, this was more of was ending up more of a one-woman show rather than a straight comedy special, which I'm absolutely fine with. Um, Dennis Leary, most of his comedy specials are more of like a one-man show than a thing, and a comedy special, and a lot of people have praised those over the years, and this was actually really, really good. um I do wonder, though, watching this particular format and stuff like that, for those of you who are familiar with Bo Burnham, this really kind of did give me a little bit of like Bo Burnham-y type of vibes, even though he is far from, like, he doesn't really tell jokes. It's literally all music pretty much. Um, Although in Inside, if you guys have seen Inside, which is on Netflix, you guys should definitely check that out because it's a fucking great special. But it's because it was all done within his house. Um, it's a little more jokey, but also because it was done during the pandemic, it was definitely, there were parts in it that, going through the pandemic, you definitely get a lot of feeling for what he's kind of going through in a mental sense. But that being said, early in the special, she was talking about Steven Seagal, and then a little bit later on, she talked about Mariah Carey. Especially Steven Seagal, but kind of Mariah Carey too. At this point in time, both of them are basically punchlines at this point. They Steven Seagal has kind of replaced, well, I guess now Puff Daddy has kind of replaced Michael Jackson as the walking punchline. Sorry, Puff Diddler, as he prefers to be called nowadays, I suppose. But Steven Seagal, because the guy's just an absolute nut job. He's like straight up, he's like, just go on YouTube, look up any Steven Seagal story, like, told by other people. The guy is absolutely crazy. He is insane. And if you want proof and point of how insane he has a Russian citizenship, and from my understanding, he lives in Russia at this point. And he's friends with Vladimir Putin and stuff like that. Especially right now. That's just nutty. That is just absolutely nutty. Clearly this special came out in the mid-90s. The reason why I say clearly this special came out in the mid-90s is because she had jokes about cell phones in her act. And yeah, I remember, because I've essentially been a fan of comedy my entire life, so I've seen a lot of comedy throughout my life's history, and yeah, I get a lot of, I've seen a lot of jokes like that, and it's like, wow, you look back on them and it's like, man, those have not aged well. Like, those really have not aged very well. There's one part in her special where she basically gets her makeup done on stage and stuff like that. Now, for a show like this, I have a hard time believing that that was not planned. Just because with the production and everything like that had to be planned. And I can't see any reason that she would have done that other than to basically kind of give a little bit of a highlight and a nudge to her makeup artist. And I really appreciate that. Like, somebody who's willing to thank the people that are kind of behind the scenes and stuff like that that's a good person. And I can't, maybe she had another reason, I don't know. Never talked to her, I don't know who she is or anything like that. If I ever get a chance to ask her, I'm definitely going to ask her. But that would be my thought on it. Also, speaking of, because this kind of ties into her look and stuff like that, most of you probably saw the kick at the end of what she was doing. But did anybody happen to catch that you could very clearly see her nipples through her dress? Like, I was at one point, I was watching and I'm like, wow, you can really see her panties through that. She must have a really good bra on. And then I started really looking at her boobs and I was like, oh, she doesn't have a bra on. And I think it was about the same time the camera guy actually realized it too, because all of a sudden her shots were a little bit higher. And then after a bit of time, they kind of dropped down again, as if the cameraman was just like, yeah, fuck it, whatever. And the last thing I want to talk about, I actually kind of, near the end, I was actually kind of forgot. I usually take notes just with like little things to talk about in specials. I actually kind of forgot to take notes, like almost the last half of it. So, but she was talking. I love the fact that she highlighted the drag queen that was in the audience, because that's kind of awesome. I've gone to a couple of drag shows in my life. Drag shows are a shit ton of fun if you've never been to one and you're curious about going to one. Go. It is a good time. On top of that, if you're hosting a drag show and you want somebody to host it or something or anything like that, I will happily volunteer for that, because if I can go to a drag show, I don't care if I'm performing. I'm still going to be watching a lot of the show. And I'm going to have a fucking great time. I don't care. But the way she was talking to the drag queen actually started giving me a chance to think for a second. And I realized if I ever have my own bar, club, whatever the case may be, all of my security, I am exclusively going to hire drag queens as my security. Because that is going to cut down on a lot of bullshit. Because the simple fact of the matter is I am going to have a sign right above my bar that says, fuck around and find out, fuck around and get beat up by a drag queen. That's what you'll find out. And just because I know a lot of people are going to have this thing, I really don't want to get beat up by a man in a dress. I think that would cut down on a lot of crap. The last thing I wanted to talk about on her special is she was talking about the hash cookies in Amsterdam, which, first and foremost, small shout out to Amsterdam, not for any particular reason except for the fact that when World War II ended, that happened to be the town my grandfather was in when he found out. And especially at the time, if you're going to be in a town and find out that a war you've been fighting in for the past close to 10 years at that point, I believe. I think he'd actually been in the military for 10 years at that point. And you find out that that war is now over. Amsterdam, I think, is probably a damn good town to find that out in. And if that was me, the fact that my grandfather survived the war, if that was me, I wouldn't be surviving Amsterdam. I would definitely be flying home in cargo. We'll put it that way. But it was kind of funny how she was talking, because, so, full disclosure, I am a comedian. On top of being a comedian, I'm a cook. Both of those two professions have a very high number of cocaine users in them. I've worked with a number of them. Now, that being said, I don't condone drugs, that kind of, as long as what you do is not affecting other people, don't really care what you're doing. None of my business. But the fact that I've been a comedian for so long, I've been working in kitchens for so long, almost as long, technically longer actually, if you want to be pedantic on when I started actually performing in clubs. But I've never done cocaine. Nor do I have a desire to be completely honest. I have zero desire to. That being said, I think at this point, because I've never been offered cocaine either. I think at this point, if somebody were to offer me cocaine, I'd probably just get a contact high from somebody offering me. I'd just be like, no, thank you, but, that's some strong stuff, I can tell. But yeah, no, straight up, I enjoyed that. Definitely something of a product of its time, which is to be expected from any comedy, really, because that's what comedians do, is we talk about the time we're in. There's a quote, a man trying to talk about all men at all time will talk about no one, but a man talking about him and his time will talk about everyone, I believe is the quote I'm looking for there. I don't remember who said it, but it's something along those lines, and it is very accurate. That's part of the reason why I love older stand-up specials, is that they are very much a snapshot to what the times were at the time. And there's very few comedians that are timeless. Their specials are timeless. Sadly, a comedian that is kind of timeless is Bill Hicks, and he talks a lot about political stuff. But the way he talks about political stuff is very much like that was happening then, but it's still happening now. Um, Mitch Hedberg is a great comedian. That was a comedian where you can, because he doesn't talk about a time frame. It's just jokes. Stephen Wright is another one too. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of great comedians, and at this point, just because of this special, I'm actually going to be looking for a little more Sandra Bernhard stuff. To be completely honest, because I really enjoyed that, and it was interesting that she was pregnant, but I don't. She has a partner. She's got one child, so I don't know whether it was the child she was pregnant with in the thing. I wasn't even 100% sure if she was pregnant. I you know like, yeah, it was kind of, yeah, she has a bit of a baby bump, but that doesn't necessarily mean she was pregnant. But hey, oh yeah, she was talking about the Howard Stern thing. I was not aware of that being a thing. Um, and she was talking about he ate her pussy as she ate his ass. Which one is the flexible one in that situation? Because I'm very confused as to how the dynamics of that one would exactly go. And what would that position even be called? I'm well aware of a 69 position, but that sounds like it would be like a 99 position or something like that. I have no fucking clue. But yeah, that all being said, thank you all so very much for joining me here today. This was actually a lot of fun. Shall we take a look at who will be our next one? Because I don't remember. So let's take a quick look. I'm looking forward to a lot of these guys. Although I will say some of them are going to be a little bit hard to, like Andy Kaufman. I'm not sure exactly what I want to find for a comedy special there. But sorry, we're still way down at the bottom here. Joey Bishop. I don't even know if there is a comedy special of Joey Bishop on YouTube. Let's find out. Let's take a quick look. Looks like it's mostly just clips. Maybe. Nope, that's not him. So we might have to find some other things. Something else to do with it. Because apparently there's no specific comedy special of him available on YouTube. So we will have to figure that one out. Maybe we'll watch an episode of his show if there is an episode of his show available. Joey Diaz on the Joe Rogan Experience showed up before a comedy special, so I think we're kind of SOL on that one. But if we have to, we might skip to Ray 2 Andrew Dice Clay. Might do a little bit of a two-parter on the next one, so because I got a lot to say about Andrew Dice Clay. I got a lot to say about him. But with that all being said, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun, and again, I've never seen any of her comedy specials, so I was very hyped to check this one out. So thank you all so much for watching. Oh, and it shows here on the IMDb thing she's done a lot of work with HIV and AIDS. So that's I think that's a good little thing to end on. So, as always, thank you all so very much for watching. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. You should probably stay away from most of the things I would do. And as always, take care and keep laughing.